The Three Stooges were an American vaudeville and comedy act of the mid-20th century, best known for their numerous short-subject films, still syndicated to television. Their hallmark was physical farce and slapstick. In films, the Stooges were commonly known by their first names, Moe, Larry, and Curly, or Moe, Larry, and Shemp, among other lineups depending on the films. There were 6 or 7 Stooges. Moe and Larry were always present until the very last years of the ensemble's 40-plus year run. The act began as part of a late-20s vaudeville comedy act, Ted Healy and his Stooges, consisting of Healy, Moe Howard, his brother Shemp Howard, and Larry Fine. The four made one feature film entitled Soup to Nuts before Shemp left to pursue a solo career. He was replaced by his younger brother Jerome, and the trio eventually left Healy to launch their own act, billed as the Three Stooges. Curly suffered a debilitating stroke in May 1946, and Shemp returned, reinstating the original lineup until Shemp's death in November 1955. Film actor Joe Palmer was used as a temporary stand-in. The maneuver thereafter became known as the term of art fake Shemp to complete 4 Shemp-era shorts under contract. The coining of the term took place before a new contract from Columbia, but after comic Joe Besser joined as the third Stooge in a run 56-57, but he left in 1958 to nurse his ailing spouse. Columbia terminated its shorts division and released its Stooges' contractual rights to the Screen Gems production studio. When Screen Gems syndicated the shorts to television, the Stooges became stars. They also made a cameo appearance in the 1963 comedy classic It's a Mad 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 World. Comic actor Joe DeRita became in 1958, replacing Besser. With the television exposure, the act regained momentum throughout the 1960s as popular kiddie fare until Larry Fine's paralyzing stroke in January 1970. Fine died in 1975 after a further series of strokes. Moe tried one final time to revive the Stooges with longtime supporting actor Emil Sitka in Larry's role, the proposed lineup sometimes referred to as the Three Stooges, Mark V., but this attempt was cut short with Moe's death in May 1975. History: Ted Healy and his Stooges. The Three Stooges started in 1925 as part of a raucous vaudeville act called Ted Healy and his Stooges. The moniker Three Stooges was never used during their tenure with Healy. Moe joined Healy's act in 1921, and his brother Shemp came aboard in 1923. In 1925, violinist comedian Larry Fine and Fred Sanborn also joined the group. In the act, lead comedian Healy would attempt to sing or tell jokes while his noisy assistants would keep interrupting him, causing Healy to retaliate with verbal and physical abuse. In 1930, Ted Healy and his Stooges appeared in their first Hollywood feature film, Soup to Nuts, released by Fox Film Corporation. The film was not a critical success, but the Stooges' performances were singled out as memorable, leading Fox to offer the trio a contract minus Healy. This enraged Healy, who told studio executives that the Stooges were his employees. The offer was withdrawn, and after Howard, Fine and Howard learned of the reason, they left Healy to form their own act, which quickly took off with a tour of the theater circuit. Healy attempted to stop the new act with legal action, claiming they were using his copyrighted material. There are accounts of Healy threatening to bomb theaters if Howard, Fine and Howard ever performed there, which worried Shemp so much that he almost left the act. Reportedly, only a pay raise kept him on board. Healy tried to save his act by hiring replacement Stooges, but they were inexperienced and not as well received as their predecessors. In 1932, with Moe now acting as business manager, Healy reached a new agreement with his former Stooges, and they were booked in a production of Jacob J. Schubert's The Passing Show of 1932. During rehearsals, Healy received a more lucrative offer and found a loophole in his contract allowing him to leave the production. Shemp, fed up with Healy's abrasiveness, decided to quit the act and found work almost immediately, in Vitaphone movie comedies produced in Brooklyn, New York. With Shemp gone, Healy and the 2 remaining Stooges needed a replacement, so Moe suggested his younger brother Jerry Howard. Healy reportedly took one look at Jerry, who had long chestnut red locks and a handlebar mustache, and remarked that he did not look like he was funny. Jerry left the room and returned a few moments later with his head shaved, and then quipped, "Boy, do I look girly?" Healy had curly, and the name stuck. In 1933, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer signed Healy and his Stooges to a movie contract. They appeared in feature films and short subjects either together, individually, or with various combinations of actors. The trio was featured in a series of musical comedy shorts, beginning with Nursery Rhymes. The short was one of a few shorts to be made with an early two-strip Technicolor process, including one featuring Curly without Healy or the other Stooges, Roast Beef and Movies. The shorts themselves were built around recycled film footage of production numbers cut from MGM musicals, such as Children of Pleasure, Lord Byron of Broadway, and the unfinished March of Time, which had been filmed in early Technicolor. Soon, additional shorts followed, including Beer and Pretzels, Plain Nuts, Jailbirds of Paradise and The Big Idea. Healy and Company also appeared in several MGM feature films as comic relief, such as Turn Back the Clock, Meet the Baron, Dancing Lady, Fugitive Lovers, and Hollywood Party. Healy and the Stooges also appeared together in Mite and Marge for Universal Pictures. In 1934, the team's contract with MGM expired, and the Stooges parted professional company with Healy. According to Moe Howard's autobiography, the Stooges split with Ted Healy in 1934 once and for all because of Healy's alcoholism and abrasiveness. Their final film with Healy was MGM's 1934 film, Hollywood Party. Both Healy and the Stooges went on to separate successes, with Healy dying under mysterious circumstances in 1937. The Columbia Years, Moe, Larry and Curly. In 1934, the trio now officially named the Three Stooges signed on to appear in two real comedy short subjects for Columbia Pictures. In Moe's autobiography, he said they each got $600 per week on a one-year contract with a renewable option. In the Ted Okuda Edward Watts book The Columbia Comedy Shorts, the Stooges are said to have received $1,000 among them for their first Columbia effort, Woman Haters, and then signed a term contract for $7,500 per film, to be divided among the trio. Within their first year at Columbia, the Stooges became wildly popular. Realizing this, Columbia Pictures president Harry Cohn used the Stooges as leverage, as the demand for their films was so great that he eventually refused to supply exhibitors with the trio's shorts unless they also agreed to book some of the studio's mediocre B-movies. Cohn also saw to it that the Stooges remained ignorant of their popularity. During their 23 years at Columbia, the Stooges were never completely aware of their amazing drawing power at the box office. As their contracts with the studio included an open option that had to be renewed yearly, Cohn would tell the boys that the short subjects were in decline, which was not a complete fabrication. Thinking their days were numbered, the Stooges would cruelly sweat it out each and every year, with Cohn renewing their contract at the 11th hour. This deception kept the insecure Stooges unaware of their true value, resulting in them having second thoughts about asking for a better contract without a yearly option. Cohn's scare tactics worked for all 23 years the Stooges were at Columbia. The team never once asked for €1, nor were they ever given a salary increase. It was not until after they stopped making the shorts in December 1957 did Moe learn of Cohn's underhanded tactics, what a valuable commodity the Stooges had been for the ailing studio, and how many millions more the act could have earned. While Columbia offered theater owners an entire program of two reel comedies featuring such stars as Buster Keaton, Andy Clyde, Charlie Chase, and Hugh Herbert, the Stooge shorts were the most popular of all. The Stooges were required to release up to 8 short films per year within a 40-week period. For the remaining 12 or so weeks, they were free to pursue other employment, time which was either spent with their families or touring the country to promote their live act. The Stooges appeared in 190 film shorts and 5 features while at Columbia, outlasting every one of their contemporaries employed in the short film genre. Del Lord directed more than 36 Stooge films. Jules White directed dozens more, and his brother Jack White directed several under the pseudonym Preston Black. Silent film star Charlie Chase also shared directorial responsibilities with Lord and White. The Stooge films made between 1935 and 1941 captured the team at the peak, according to film historians Ted Okuda and Edward Watts, authors of the Columbia comedy shorts. Nearly every film produced became a classic in its own right. 1935's Hoi Polloi adapted the premise of Pygmalion, with a stuffy professor waging a bet that he can transform the uncultured trio into refined gentlemen. The plotline worked so well that it was reused twice, as Half-Wit's Holiday and Pies and Guys. Three Little Beers featured the team employed at a brewery who then run amok on a local golf course to win prize money. 1936's Disorder in the Court features the team as star witnesses in a murder trial. 1938's Violent is the Word for Curly was a Quality Chase-directed short that featured the musical interlude, Swingin' the Alphabet. In the 1940 film A Plumbing We Will Go one of the team's quintessential comedies the Stooges are cast as plumbers who nearly destroy a socialite's mansion, causing water to exit every appliance in the home. Other entries of the era, like Uncivil Warriors, A Pain in the Pullman, False Alarms, Grips, Grunts and Groans, The Sitter-Downers, Dizzy Doctors, Tassels in the Air, We Want Our Mummy, Nutty But Nice, An Ache in Every Steak and In the Sweet Pie and Pie are considered among the team's finest work. With the onset of World War II, the Stooges released several entries that poked fun at the rising Axis powers. You Nasty Spy! And its sequel I'll Never Hail Again burlesqued Hitler and the Nazis at a time when America was still neutral and resolutely isolationist. Moe is cast as Moe Hailstone, an Adolf Hitler-like character, with Curly playing a Hermann Gar paragraph ring character, and Larry a Ribbentrop-type ambassador. Though revered by Stooge fans, as well as the Stooges themselves, the efforts indulged in a deliberately formless, non-sequitur style of verbal humor that was not the Stooges' forte, according to Okuda and Watts. Other wartime entries, like They Stooge to Conga, Higher Than a Kite, Back from the Front, Gents Without Sense and the controversial The Yolks on Me have their moments, but taken in bulk, the wartime films are decidedly substandard. No Doughboys ranks as the best of these farces. The team, made up as Japanese soldiers for a photo shoot, is mistaken for genuine saboteurs by a Nazi ringleader. The highlight of the film features the Stooges engaging in nonsensical gymnastics for a skeptical group of enemy agents. The World War II era also brought on rising production costs that resulted in a reduced number of elaborate gags and outdoor sequences, dull Lord's stock and trade. As such, the quality of the team's films began to slip after 1942. According to Okuda and Watts, entries like Loco Boy Makes Good, What's the Matador? Sock Ape by Baby, I Can Hardly Wait and A Gem of a Jam are considered to be less quality work than previous efforts, and in a different class than their earlier films. The 1943 film Spook Louder, a remake of Max Sennett's The Great Pie Mystery, is often cited as their worst film. The story of a phantom pie thrower is repetitious and relying on the same jokes, which many Stooge fans consider to be far less humorous than their past work. Three Smart Saps, a film considered to be an improvement, features a reworking of a routine from Harold Lloyd's The Freshman, in which Curly's loosely basted suit begins to come apart at the seams while he is on the dance floor. The Stooges made occasional guest appearances in feature films, though generally they were restricted to their short subjects. Even though most of the Stooges' peers had either made the transition from shorts to features films or had been starring their own feature films from the onset, Moe believed the team's firebrand style of humor worked better in short form. In 1935, when Columbia proposed to star them in their own full-length feature, Moe rejected the idea, saying it's a hard job inventing, rewriting or stealing gags for our two reel comedies for Columbia Pictures without having to make a seven-reeler. We can make short films out of material needed for a starring feature and then we wouldn't know whether it would be funny enough to click. Film critics and Stooge fans alike have cited Curly as the most popular member of the team. His childlike mannerisms and natural comedic charm made him a hit with audiences, particularly children and women. The fact that Curly had to shave his head for the act led him to feel unappealing to women. To mask his insecurities, He ate and drank to excess and caroused whenever the Stooges made personal appearances, which was approximately 7 months out of the year. His weight ballooned in the 1940s, and his blood pressure became dangerously high. His wild lifestyle and constant drinking eventually caught up with him in 1945, and his performances suffered. In his last dozen shorts he was seriously ill, struggling to get through even the most basic scenes. During the final day of filming Halfwit's Holiday on May 6, 1946, he suffered a debilitating stroke on the set, ending his 14-year career and temporarily forcing the Stooges into retirement. While they hoped for a full recovery, Curly never appeared in a film again except for a single cameo appearance in the third film after Shemp returned to the trio, Hold That Lion. It was the only film that contained all four of the original Stooges on screen simultaneously. According to Jules White, this anomaly came about when Curly visited the set one day, and White had him do this bit for fun. In 1948, Curly was supposed to play a cameo role in Malice in the Palace, but beyond posing in costume for a lobby card photo, there is no evidence of his contribution. It appears he was healthy enough to do the short scene. His chef role was not to be, so the scene carried through with Larry as chef and waiter. The movie itself came out about 1 year later. Shemp's return, Moe then asked his older brother Shemp to take Curly's place, but Shemp was hesitant to rejoin the Stooges, as he was enjoying a successful solo career at the time of Curly's stroke. He realized, however, that not reviving the Stooges would mean the end of Moe's and Larry's film careers. Shemp wanted some kind of assurance that rejoining them would be only temporary, and that he could leave the Stooges once Curly recovered. But Curly remained gravely ill until his death of a cerebral hemorrhage from additional strokes on January 18, 1952. Shemp appeared with the Stooges in 76 shorts and a low-budget Western comedy feature titled Gold Raiders, in which the screen time was evenly divided with Murnau's former Sunrise leading man turned B-picture cowboy hero George O'Brien. Shemp's return improved the quality of the films, as the last few with Curly had been marred by his sluggish performances. Entries like Out West, Squareheads of the Round Table, and Punchy Coup Punches proved that there was life after Curly, and that Shemp could easily hold his own. This was due in part to the presence of new director Edward Burns, who joined the team in 1945 when Curly was failing. Burns sensed that routines and plot lines that worked well with Curly as the comic focus did not fit Shemp's persona, and decidedly allowed the comedian to develop his own Stooge characterization. Jules White, however, persisted in employing the living cartoon style of comedy that reigned during the Curly era. White would force either Shemp or Moe to perform similar gags and mannerisms originated by Curly, resulting in what appeared to be lackluster imitation. Most acutely, it created the Curly versus Shemp debate that overshadowed the act upon the former's departure. Though the Stooges lost some of their charm and inherent appeal to children after Curly retired, some of the finest films were produced with Shemp, a gifted, professional and naturally funny comedian who often performed best when allowed to improvise on his own. More often than not, his astute gift of comedic timing buoys weak material. Unlike the Curly era, the films from the Shemp era contrast sharply, due to the individual directing styles of Burns and White. The incongruous, noisy cartoonish nonsense of White's films were no match for the structured plotlines and contextual gags that laced the Burns efforts. From 1947 to 1952, Burns hit a string of successes, including Fright Night, The Hot Scots, Mummy's Dummies, Crime on Their Hands, A Snitch in Time, Three Arabian Nuts and Gents in a Jam. Two of the team's finest efforts, Brideless Groom and Whodunit, were directed by Burns. White also contributed a few par entries, such as Hold That Lion, Hocus Pocus, Scrambled Brains, A Missed Fortune and Corny Casanovas. Another interesting plus from the Shemp era was that Larry was given more time on screen. Throughout most of the Curly era, Larry was relegated to a background role, only being called upon to break up a potential scuffle between Moe and Curly. By the time Shemp rejoined the Stooges, Larry was allotted equal footage, even becoming the focus of several films. The Shemp years also marked a major milestone, the Stooges' first appearance on television. In 1948, They guest-starred on Milton Berle's popular Texaco Star Theatre and Maury Amsterdam's The Maury Amsterdam Show. By 1949, the team filmed a pilot for ABC TV for their own weekly television series, titled Jerks of All Trades. Though it never sold, their slapstick humor was in great demand on television programs looking to fill airspace. The team went on to appear on Camel Comedy Caravan, The Kate Smith Hour, The Colgate Comedy Hour, The Frank Sinatra Show and The Eddie Cantor Comedy Theatre, among others. In 1952, however, the Stooges lost some key players at Columbia. The studio decided to downsize its short subject division, resulting in producer Hugh McCollum being discharged and director Edward Burns resigning out of loyalty to McCollum. Burns had been contemplating his resignation for some time, as he and Jules White were often at odds. Screenwriter Elwood Ullman followed suit, leaving only White to both produce and direct the Stooges' remaining Columbia comedies. Almost overnight, the quality of the Stooge shorts declined, with White now assuming complete control over Stooge films. Production was significantly faster, with the former 4-day filming schedules now tightened to 2 or 3 days. In another cost-cutting measure, White would create a new Stooge short by borrowing footage from old ones, setting it in a slightly different storyline, and filming a few new scenes often with the same actors in the same costumes. White was initially very subtle when recycling older footage. He would reuse only a single sequence of old film, re-edited so cleverly that it was not easy to detect. The later shorts were cheaper and the recycling more obvious, with as much as 75% of the running time consisting of old footage. White came to rely so much on older material that he could film the new shorts in a single day. Plus, any new footage filmed in order to link older material suffered from White's wooden directing and his penchant for telling his actors how to act. Shemp in particular disliked working with White. 3 years after Curly's death, Shemp died of a sudden heart attack at age 60 on November 22, 1955 during a taxi ride with a friend. Recycled footage of Shemp, combined with new footage utilizing Columbia supporting player Joe Palmer as Shemp's double, were used to complete the last 4 films originally planned with Shemp: Rumpus in the Harem, Hot Stuff, Scheming Schemers, and Commotion on the Ocean. Joe Besser takes Shemp's place. Joe Besser replaced Shemp in 1956, appearing in 16 Stooges shorts. Besser had earlier starred in his own short subject comedies for Columbia from 1949 to 1956 and appeared in supporting roles in a variety of movies, making his persona sufficiently well known that he was frequently caricatured in Looney Tunes animated shorts of the era before joining the Stooges. Besser, noting how one side of Larry Fine's face appeared calloused, had a clause in his contract specifically prohibiting him from being smacked beyond an infrequent tap. Besser was the only third Stooge that dared to hit Moe back in retaliation and get away with it. Larry Fine was also known to hit Moe on occasion, but always with serious repercussions. "I usually played the kind of character who would hit others back," Besser recalled. Despite Besser's prolific film and stage career, his Stooge entries have been sometimes tagged as the trio's weak link. During his time with the act, the team's shorts were being assailed for being questionable models for youth, and in response began to resemble family-based TV sitcoms which were now ho-hum, routine fare. Sitcoms, now available for free on the new and popular medium of television, made shorts a throwback to a bygone era. Though Besser was a very funny comic, his whining mannerisms did not quite gel with the eye-gouging, hand-biting, belly-punching Stooge antics of the past, though it did create the verbal friction between Moe and Larry that succeeded in making put-down banter. Times had changed, and Besser was not solely to blame for the lackluster quality of these final entries. The scripts were tired rehashes of earlier efforts, the budgets were much lower than they had been, and Moe's and Larry's performances were deemed anemic. They were growing older, and could no longer perform pratfalls and physical comedy as they once had. Since the team members were getting on in years, Besser suggested that Moe and Larry comb their hair back and discard their trademark hairstyles to give them a more gentlemanly appearance. Surprisingly, Moe and Jules White approved of the idea, but used it sparingly in order to match the old footage in films that were remakes. Despite their long-standing reputation, The final Stooge shorts did have their moments. In general, the remakes of the traditional Stooges knocked about look and feel, like Pies and Guys, Guns A-Poppin', Rusty Romeos and Triple Crossed. In contrast, Hoofs and Goofs, Horsing Around and Muscle Up a little closer and most resembled the sitcoms of the era. A merry mix-up and Oils Well That Ends Well are also amusing, while the musical Sweet and Hot deserves some credit for straying from the norm. The space craze also took hold of the American public at the time, resulting in 3 entries focusing on space travel: Spaceship Sappy, Outer Space Jitters and Flying Saucer Daffy. The inevitable occurred soon enough. Columbia was the last studio still producing shorts, and the market for such films had all but dried up. As a result, the studio opted not to renew the Stooges' contract when it expired in late December 1957. The final comedy produced was Flying Saucer Daffy, filmed on December 19, 1957. Several days later, the Stooges were unceremoniously fired from Columbia Pictures after 24 years of making low-budget shorts. Joan Howard Mora, Moe's daughter, wrote the following in 1982. The boys' careers had suddenly come to an end. They were at Columbia one day and gone the next. No thank yous, no farewell party for their 24 years of dedication and servicing the dollars their comedies had reaped for the studio. Moe recalled that a few weeks after their exit from Columbia, when he drove to the studio to say goodbye to several studio executives, he was stopped by a guard at the gate, and since he didn't have the current year's studio pass, was refused entry. It felt like a crashing blow to him, however temporary. Although the Stooges were no longer working for Columbia, the studio had enough completed films on the shelf to keep releasing new comedies for another 18 months, though not in the order in which they were produced. The final Stooge release, Sappy Bullfighters, did not reach theaters until June 4, 1959. With no active contract in place, Moe and Larry discussed plans for a personal appearance tour. In the meantime, Besser's wife suffered a minor heart attack and he preferred to stay local, leading him to withdraw from the act. For the first time in nearly 30 years, the Stooges were at a dead end. The comeback, Moe, Larry and Curly Joe, seeing the success of how television, in its early years, allowed movie studios to unload a backlog of short films thought unmarketable, the Stooge films seemed perfect for the burgeoning genre. ABC had even expressed interest as far back as 1949, purchasing exclusive rights to 30 of the trio's shorts. However, the success of television revivals for such names as Laurel and Hardy, Woody Woodpecker, Tom and Jerry and the Our Gang series in the late 1950s led Columbia to cash in again on the Stooges. In January 1958, Columbia's television subsidiary Screen Gems offered a package consisting of 78 Stooge shorts, which were well received. Almost immediately, an additional 40 shorts hit the market, and by 1959, all 190 Stooge shorts were airing regularly. Due to the massive quantity of Stooge product available for broadcast, the films were broadcast Monday through Friday, leading to heavy exposure aimed squarely at children. This led parents to watch alongside of their offspring, and before long, Howard and Fine found themselves in high demand. Moe quickly signed movie and burlesque comic Joe DeRita, who had starred in 4 of his own slapstick comedy Columbia shorts a decade earlier, Slap Happily Married, The Good Bad Egg, Wedlock Deadlock, and Jitterbug House, for the third Stooge role. DeRita, whose hairstyle while working solo had vaguely resembled Shemp's, adopted first a crew cut and then a completely shaven hairstyle to accentuate his slight resemblance to Curly Howard and became Curly Joe. This Three Stooges lineup went on to make 6 popular full-length Stooges movies from 1959 to 1965, Have Rocket, Will Travel, Snow White and the Three Stooges, The Three Stooges Meet Hercules, The Three Stooges in Orbit, The Three Stooges Go Around the World in a Daze, and The Outlaws Is Coming. The films were aimed at the kiddie matinee market, and most were black-and-white farce outings in the Stooge tradition, with the exception of Snow White and the Three Stooges, a children's fantasy in Technicolor. They also appeared in an extremely brief cameo as firemen in the film It's a Mad, 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 Mad World in 1963, and in a larger capacity that same year in Four for Texas starring Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. Throughout the 1960s, the Three Stooges were one of the most popular and highest-paid live acts in America. The Stooges also tried their hand at another weekly television series in 1960 titled The Three Stooges Scrapbook. Filmed in color and with a laugh track, the first episode, Home Cooking, featured the boys rehearsing for a new television show. Like Jerks of All Trades, the pilot did not sell. However, Norman Morrow was able to reuse the footage for the first 20 minutes of the feature film The Three Stooges in Orbit. The trio also filmed 41 short comedy skits for the new Three Stooges, which features a series of 156 animated cartoons produced for television. The Stooges appeared in live-action color footage, which preceded and followed each animated adventure in which they voiced their respective characters. Last year's, in 1969, the Stooges filmed a pilot episode for a new TV series entitled Cook's Tour, a combination travelogue sitcom that had the retired Stooges traveling around the world, with the episodes filmed on location. On January 9, 1970, during production of the pilot, Larry suffered a paralyzing stroke, ending his acting career along with plans for the television series. Plans were in the works for longtime foil Emil Sitka to replace Larry as the middle Stooge in 1971, but nothing ever came of that idea other than the proposed publicity still reproduced here. 3 years later, in mid-December 1974, Larry suffered yet another stroke at the age of 72 and 4 weeks later an even more massive one. Slipping into a coma, he died a week later of a stroke-induced cerebral hemorrhage on January 24, 1975. Devastated by his friend's death, Moe nevertheless decided that the Three Stooges should continue. Several movie ideas were considered, one of which, according to critic and movie historian Leonard Maltin, was entitled Blazing Stewardesses. Before pre-production could begin, Moe fell ill from lung cancer, and died 3 months later on May 4, 1975. However, Blazing Stewardesses was eventually made, starring the last of the surviving Ritz Brothers comedy troupe and released to moderate acclaim later that year. Joe DeRita continued to perform live into the mid-1970s with Mousy Garner and Frank Mitchell as the new Three Stooges, enjoying recognition well into old age, before retiring by 1979. Of the remaining original replacement Stooges, Joe Besser died of heart failure on March 1, 1988, followed by Joe DeRita of pneumonia on July 3, 1993. Emil Sitka, who was announced as a Stooge but never performed as such, died on January 16, 1998. Legacy and perspective: over half a century since their last short film was released, the Three Stooges remain wildly popular with audiences. Their films have never left the television airwaves since first appearing in 1958, and they continue to delight old fans while attracting new legions of fervent admirers. A hard-working group of working-class comedians who were never the critics' darlings, the durable act endured several personnel changes in their careers which would have permanently sidelined a less persistent act. The Stooges would not have lasted as long as they did as a unit without Moe Howard's guiding hand. The Ted Okuda Edward Watts penned book The Columbia Comedy Shorts puts the Stooges' legacy in critical perspective. Many scholarly studies of motion picture comedy have overlooked the Three Stooges' inter alia, and not without valid reasoning. Aesthetically, the Stooges violated every rule that constitutes good comedic style. Their characters lacked the emotional depth of Charlie Chaplin and Harry Langdon. They were never as witty or subtle as Buster Keaton. They were not disciplined enough to sustain lengthy comic sequences. Far too often, they were willing to suspend what little narrative structure their pictures possessed in order to insert a number of gratuitous jokes. Nearly every premise they have employed has been done to better effect by other comedians. And yet, in spite of the overwhelming artistic odds against them, they were responsible for some of the finest comedies ever made. Their humor was the most undistilled form of low comedy. They were not great innovators, but as quick laugh practitioners, they placed second to none. If public taste is any criterion, the Stooges have been the reigning kings of comedy for over 50 years. Beginning in the 1980s, the Stooges finally began to receive critical recognition. The release of nearly all their films on DVD by 2010 has allowed critics of Joe Besser and Joe DeRita often the recipients of significant fan backlash to appreciate the unique style of comedy both men brought to the Stooges. In addition, the DVD market in particular has allowed fans to view the entire Stooge film corpus as distinct periods in their long, distinguished career instead of comparing one Stooge to the other. The team appeared in 220 films. In the end, it is the durability of the 190 timeless short films the Stooges made at Columbia Pictures that acts as an enduring tribute to the comedy team. Their continued popularity worldwide has proven to even the most skeptical critics that their films are funny. American television personality Steve Allen went on record in the mid-1980s saying though they never achieved widespread critical acclaim, they achieved exactly what they had always intended to do, they made people laugh. Lineups on film: Moe Howard, real name, Moses Harry Horwitz, born June 19, 1897, died May 4, 1975, May 4, 1975, cause of death, lung cancer, Stooge years, 1921–1969, Shemp Howard, real name, Samuel Horwitz, born March 11, 1895, died November 22, 1955, November 22, 1955, cause of death, heart attack, Stooge years, 1923–1932, 1946–1955, Larry Fine, real name, Louis Feinberg, born October 5, 1902, died January 24, 1975, January 24, 1975, cause of death, stroke, Stooge years, 1925–1969, Curly Howard, real name, Jerome Lester Horwitz, born October 22, 1903, died January 18, 1952, January 18, 1952, cause of death, cerebral hemorrhage, Stooge years, 1932–1946, Joe Besser, born August 12, 1907, died March 1, 1988, March 1, 1988, cause of death, heart failure, Stooge years. 1956–1957, Joe DeRita, real name, Joseph Waddell, born July 12, 1909, died July 3, 1993, July 3, 1993, cause of death, pneumonia, Stooge years, 1958–1969, shorts. The Three Stooges appeared in 220 films throughout their career. Of those 220, 190 short films were made for Columbia Pictures between 1934 and 1959, for which the trio are best known. Their contract was extended each year from 1934 until the final one expired on December 31, 1957. The last 8 of the 16 shorts with Joe Besser were released soon afterward. C3 Entertainment, Incorporated. Throughout their career, Moe acted as both their main creative force and business manager. Comedy 3 was formed by Moe, Larry and Joe DeRita in 1959 to manage all business and merchandise transactions for the team. C3 was basically in the background, with Moe's son-in-law Norman Morrow managing the comedy team's film interests under Normandy Productions, and merchandising affairs under Norman Morrow Productions. Norman Morrow died of cancer in 1986. In 1994, the heirs of Larry Fine and Joe DeRita filed a breach of contract lawsuit against Moe's family, particularly Joan Howard Morrow and her son Jeffrey, who had inherited the NMP Normandy business. The lawsuit alleged that the Howards had cheated the DeRita and Fine families out of their share of royalties. Howard was ordered to pay $2.6 million in damages. $1.6 million was for compensatory damages to Jean DeRita, while the remaining $1 million was divided between 4 of Fine's grandchildren. The Fine and DeRita families were represented by California attorney Bela G. Lugosi. Jr. The resulting 1994 lawsuit led to the re-establishment of C3 as a three-way interest of Fine DeRita. The DeRita heirs received the proxy to the Howard share, giving them majority control on the company's management. Joe DeRita's stepsons, Robert and Earl Benjamin, became the senior management of C3, with Lugosi, Jr. serving as an executive board member for several years. The Benjamins later incorporated the company, and C3 is currently the owner of all Three Stooges trademarks and merchandising. Larry's grandson Eric Lamond is the representative of the Fine's one-third interest in the company. Since 1995, C3 has authorized and provided the services of veteran actors Jim Scasen, Alan Semok, and Dave Knight for numerous personal appearances by the Stooge characters for a variety of merchandising and promotional events. This latter-day trio has also provided voices for the characters in a variety of radio spots, merchandising tie-ins, and most recently for the first new Three Stooges short in 50 years. A CGI animation by Famous Frames Mobile Interactive, a first-wave new media company, entitled The Great Debate, has Moe, Larry and Curly running for president. Television. A handful of Three Stooges shorts first aired on television in 1949, on the American Broadcasting Company network. It was not until 1958 that Screen Gems packaged 78 shorts for national syndication. The package was gradually enlarged to encompass the entire library of 190 shorts. In 1959, KTTV in Los Angeles purchased the Three Stooges films for air, but by the early 1970s, rival station KTLA began airing the Stooges films, keeping them in the schedule until early 1994. The Family Channel ran the shorts as part of their Stooge TV block from February 19, 1996, to January 2, 1998. In the late 1990s, AMC had held the rights to the Three Stooges shorts, originally airing them under the Stooges Playhouse block, but replacing it in 1999 with NYUK featuring host Leslie Nielsen in the form of a college instructor. The block aired several shorts often grouped by a theme, such as similar shtick used in different films. Although the block was discontinued after AMC revamped their format in 2002, the network still ran Stooges shorts occasionally. The AMC run ended when Spike TV picked them up in 2004, airing them in their Stooges Slap Happy Hour. By 2007, the network had discontinued the block. Although Spike did air Stooges shorts for a brief period of time after the block was cancelled, as of late April 2008, Three Stooges has disappeared from the network's schedule entirely. The Three Stooges returned on December 31, 2009, on AMC, starting with the countdown with the Stooges New Year's Eve Marathon. AMC planned to put several episodes on their website in 2010. Since the 1990s, Columbia and its television division's successor, Sony Pictures Television, has preferred to license the Stooges shorts to cable networks, precluding the films from being shown on local broadcast TV. Two stations in Chicago and Boston, however, signed long-term syndication contracts with Columbia years ago and have declined to terminate them. Thus, WMEU-CD in Chicago currently airs all 193 Stooges shorts on Saturday afternoons from 1 to 3 p.m. and Sunday evenings from 9–11 p.m. WSBK-TV in Boston airs Stooge shorts and feature films, including an annual New Year's Eve marathon. KTLA in Los Angeles dropped the shorts in 1994, but brought them back in 2007 as part of a special retro marathon commemorating the station's 60th anniversary. Since that time, the station's original 16mm Stooges film prints have aired occasionally as part of mini-marathons on holidays. Antenna TV, a network broadcasting on the digital sub-channels of local broadcast stations, began airing the Stooges shorts upon the network's January 1, 2011 launch, which ran in multi-hour blocks on weekends through December 29, 2012. Most of the Three Stooges feature films are also broadcast on the network, through Antenna TV's distribution agreement with Sony Pictures Entertainment. Although the network no longer airs Stooges shorts regularly, they are occasionally shown as filler if a movie runs short, as well as in holiday marathons. Some of the Stooge films have been colorized by two separate companies. The first colorized DVD releases, distributed by Sony Pictures Home Entertainment, were prepared by West Wing Studios in 2004. The following year, Legend Films colorized the public domain shorts Malice in the Palace, Sing a Song of Sixpence, Disorder in the Court and Brideless Groom. Disorder in the Court and Brideless Groom also appears on two of West Wing's colorized releases. In any event, the Columbia-produced shorts are handled by Sony Pictures Entertainment, while the MGM Stooges shorts are owned by Warner Brothers via their Turner Entertainment division. Sony offers 21 of the shorts on their web platform Crackle, along with 11 minisodes. Meanwhile, the rights to the Stooges feature films rests with the studios that originally produced them. Home video. Between 1980 and 1985, Columbia Pictures Home Entertainment and RCA Columbia Pictures Home Video released a total of 13 Three Stooges volumes on VHS, Beta and Laserdisc, each containing 3 shorts. These titles were later reissued on VHS by its successor, Columbia TRI-Star Home Video, between 1993 and 1996, with a DVD reissue between 2000 and 2004. The Three Stooges Collection. On October 30, 2007, Sony Pictures Home Entertainment released a 2-disc DVD set entitled The Three Stooges Collection, Volume 1, 1934–1936. The set contains shorts from the first 3 years the Stooges worked at Columbia Pictures, marking the first time ever that all 19 shorts were released in their original theatrical order to DVD. Additionally, every short was remastered in high definition, a first for the Stooge films. Previous DVD releases were based on themes, and sold poorly. Fans and critics alike praised Sony for finally giving the Stooges the proper DVD treatment. One critic states the Three Stooges on DVD has been a real mix-and-match hodgepodge of unrestored titles and illogical entries. This new box set seems to be the first concerted effort to categorize their huge body of work chronologically, with many shorts seeing the digital light for the first time. Videolibrarian.com critic added, "Finally, the studio knuckleheads got it right. The way that the Three Stooges have been presented on home video has been a real slap in the face and poke in the eye to fans. They've been anthologized, colorized, and public domained, as their shorts have been released and re-released in varying degrees of quality. Highly recommended." Critic James Plath of Town.com added, "Thank you, Sony, for finally giving these Columbia Pictures icons the kind of DVD retrospective that they deserve. Remastered in high definition and presented in chronological order, these short films now give fans the chance to appreciate the development of one of the most successful comedy teams in history." The chronological series proved very successful and wildly popular, and Sony wasted little time preparing the next set for release. Volume 2, 1937–1939 was released on May 27, 2008, followed by Volume 3, 1940–1942 3 months later on August 26, 2008. Demand exceeded supply, proving to Sony that they had a hit on their hands. In response, Volume 4, 1943–1945 was released on October 7, 2008, a mere 2 months after its predecessor. The global economic crisis slowed down the release schedule after Volume 4, and Volume 5, 1946–1948 was belatedly released on March 17, 2009. Volume 5 is the first in the series to feature Shemp Howard with the Stooges. Volume 6, 1949–1951 was released June 16, 2009, and Volume 7, 1952–1954 was released on November 10, 2009. The 8th and final volume was released on June 1, 2010, bringing the series to a close. For the first time in history, all 193 Stooges short subjects became available to the public, uncut and unedited. A 20-disc DVD box set entitled The Three Stooges, The Ultimate Collection, including all 190 shorts from Volumes 1–8 and additional bonus material, was released in June 2012. Music. Several instrumental tunes were played over the opening credits at different times in the production of the short features. The most commonly used themes were, the verse portion of the Civil War-era song Listen to the Mockingbird, played in a comical way, complete with sounds of birds and such. This was first used in Pardon My Scotch, their 9th short film, in 1935. Three Blind Mice, beginning in 1939 as a slow but straightforward presentation, often breaking into a jazzy style before ending. In mid-1942, another more driving version, complete with accordion, was played fast all the way through. The Columbia short subject Woman Haters was done completely in rhyme, mostly recited, in rhythm with a jazz age underscore running throughout the film, but with some key lines sung. It was sixth in a musical novelties short subject series, and appropriated its musical score from the first 5 films. The memorable My Life, My Love, My All, was originally At Last. From the film Umpire. Swinging the Alphabet from Violent Is the Word for Curly is perhaps the best-known song performed by the Stooges on film. The Stooges broke into a 3-part harmonized version of Tears in Horses' Collars, A Ducking They Did Go and Half-Shot Shooters. The song, which was written by Moe, Larry, Shemp, and one-time Ted Healy Stooge Frederick Sanborn, first appeared in the 1930 feature film Soup to Nuts. The Lucia Sextet, from the opera Lucia di Lammermoor by Gaetano Donizetti, is played on a record player and lip-synced by the Stooges and microphonies. The same melody reappears in Squareheads of the Round Table as the tune of Oh, Elaine, Can You Come Out Tonight? Microphonies also includes the Johann Strauss II waltz Voices of Spring Op. 410. Another Strauss waltz, the Blue Danube, is featured in Ants in the Pantry and Punch Drunks. The song Frederick March was a favorite of director Jules White. It appeared in at least 7 different Columbia shorts. Termites of 1938. The Stooges play this song on a violin, flute, and string bass at a dinner party in an attempt to attract mice. Dutiful but dumb Curly is hidden inside a floor-standing radio, and plays the song on a modified harmonica. Three Little Twerps heard as background music at the circus while Moe and Curly sell tickets. Idle Rumors Curly plays the song on a trombone to calm a wolfman. Gents Without Sense 3 girls perform acrobatics on stage while this song is playing. Gents in a Jam Shemp and Moe have a problem with a radio that will not stop playing this song. Pardon My Backfire the song plays on a car radio. The Moe Lie Curly Joe lineup of the Stooges recorded several musical record albums in the early 1960s. Most of their songs were adaptations of nursery rhymes. Among their more popular recordings were Making a Record, Three Little Fishes, All I Want for Christmas Is My Two Front Teeth, Wreck the Halls with Boughs of Holly, Marzi Dotes, and I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. In 1983, a group called the Jump and the Saddle Band recorded a track called The Curly Shuffle, which featured the narrator singing about his love of the Stooges mixed with a chorus of many of Curly's catchphrases and sound effects. In the mid-1980s, the song became a popular mid-game hit for New York Mets fans in the Shea Stadium bleachers, who would dance in small groups to the tune whenever the song was played between innings. The music video, which featured clips of the classic Stooges shorts, was also included as a bonus feature on one of the 1984 VHS releases. Feature motion pictures. The Three Stooges also made appearances in many feature-length movies in the course of their careers. Joe Besser never appeared with the Stooges in a feature film. 3 feature-length Columbia releases were actually packages of older Columbia shorts. Columbia Laugh Hour was a random assortment that included the Stooges among other Columbia comedians like Andy Clyde, Hugh Herbert, and Vera Vague. The content and length varied from one theater to the next. Three Stooges Fun-O-Rama was an all-Stooges show capitalizing on their TV fame, again with shorts chosen at random for individual theaters. The Three Stooges Follies was similar to Laugh Hour, with a trio of Stooge comedies augmented by Buster Keaton and Vera Vague shorts, a Batman serial chapter, and a Kate Smith musical. Museum. Gary Lassin, grand-nephew-in-law of Larry Fine, opened the Stoogeum in 2004, in a renovated architect's office in Spring House, Pennsylvania, 25 miles north of Philadelphia. The museum quality exhibits fill 3 stories 10,000 square feet, including an 85-seat theater. Peter Seeley, editor of the book Stoogeology, Essays on the Three Stooges, said that the Stoogeum has more stuff than I even imagined existed. 2,500 people visit it yearly, many during the annual Three Stooges fan club gathering in April. In other media, Comic books. Over the years, several Three Stooges comics were produced. St. John Publications published the first Three Stooges comics in 1949 with 2 issues, then again in 1953 a year of 54 with 7 issues. Dell Comics published a Three Stooges series first as one-shots in their 4-color comics line for 5 issues, then gave them a numbered series for 4 more issues. With number 10, the title would be published by Gold Key Comics. Under Gold Key, the series lasted through issue number 55 in 1972. Gold Key Comics then published the Little Stooges series with story and art by Norman Maurer, Moe's son-in-law. This series featured the adventures of 3 fictional sons of the Three Stooges, as sort of modern-day teenage versions of the characters. Eclipse Comics published the 3D Three Stooges series which reprinted stories from the St. John Publications series. Malibu Comics did a couple of one-shot comics, reprinting stories from the Gold Key Comics in 1989 and 1991. Blue Waiter Comics issued a biographical comic in 2011 which followed the lives and careers of the group. Music. Beginning in 1959, the Three Stooges began to appear in a series of novelty records. Their first recording was a 45 RPM single of the title song from Have Rocket, Will Travel. The trio released additional singles and LPs on the Golden and Coral labels, mixing comedy adventure albums and offbeat renditions of children's songs. Their final recording was the 1966 Yogi Bear and the Three Stooges Meet the Mad, Mad Drive. No No, which incorporated the Three Stooges into the cast of the Yogi Bear cartoons. Radio. Sirius XM Radio aired a special about the Stooges hosted by Tom Bergeron on Friday, July 31, 2009, at 2 p.m. on the Sirius Howard 101 channel. Bergeron had conducted the interviews at the age of 16 back when he was still in high school in 1971. The television host had the tapes in storage for many years and was convinced on air during an interview with Howard Stern to bring them in and turn it into a special. After finding the lost tapes, Bergeron brought them into Stern's production studio. He stated that the tapes were so old that the tapes with the Larry Fine interviews began to shred as Stern's radio engineers ran them through their cart players. They only really had one shot, but fortunately for Stooges fans the tapes were saved. The Lost Stooges tapes was hosted by Tom Bergeron, with modern commentary on the almost 40-year-old interviews that he had conducted with Larry Fine and Moe Howard. At the times of these interviews, Moe was still living at home and Larry had suffered a stroke and was living in a senior citizen's home. Television. In addition to the unsuccessful television series pilots Jerks of All Trades, The Three Stooges Scrapbook, and The Incomplete Cooks Tour, the Stooges appeared in a show called The New Three Stooges which ran from 1965 to 1966. This series featured a mix of 41 live-action segments which were used as wraparounds to 156 animated Stooges shorts. The New Three Stooges became the only regularly scheduled television show in history for the Stooges. Unlike other films shorts that aired on television, like the Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, and Popeye, the film shorts of the Stooges never had a regularly scheduled national television program to air in. When Columbia Screen Gems licensed the film library to television, the shorts aired in any fashion the local stations chose. By the 1970s, some local stations showed a Columbia short and a New Three Stooges cartoon in the same broadcast. In the October 13, 1967, Who's Afraid of Mother Goose? Episode of ABC's World of Disney-like anthology series Off to See the Wizard, the Three Stooges made a short appearance as the Three Men in a Tub. 2 episodes of Hanna-Barbera's The New Scooby-Doo movies aired on CBS featuring animated Stooges as guest stars, The Premiere, Ghastly Ghost Town, and The Ghost of the Red Baron. There also was a short-lived animated series, also produced by Hanna-Barbera, titled The Robotnik Stooges, originally seen as a featured segment on the Skatebirds, featuring Moe, Larry, and Curly as bionic cartoon superheroes with extendable limbs, similar to the later Inspector Gadget. The Robotnik Stooges later aired as a separate half-hour series, retitled The Three Robotnik Stooges. There are also many Stooges references in the sitcom ALF. In a 1980 episode of MASH, Charles Winchester shows disrespect for three Korean doctors by calling them Moe, Larry and Curly, and says that they are highly respected individuals in the States. After Winchester throws out his back and is unable to relieve the pain through conventional methods, Colonel Potter has the Korean doctors try acupuncture, which cures Winchester. After the treatment, one of the doctors tells Winchester not bad for Three Stooges, huh? Having caught on to his mistreatment of them. In the episode Beware the Creeper of the New Batman Adventures, the Joker retreats to his hideout after a quick fight with Batman. He yells out for his three henchmen Moe, La, K, only to find that they are not there. Shortly after that, Batman comes across these three goons in a pool hall. They have distinctive accents and hairstyles similar to those of Moe, Larry and Curly. These henchmen are briefly seen throughout the rest of the season. 2000 television film. In spring of 2000, longtime Stooge fan Mel Gibson executive produced a TV film about the lives and careers of the comedians. Playing Moe was Paul Ben-Victor, Evan Handler was Larry, John Cassar was Shemp and Michael Chiklis was Curly. It was filmed in Australia and was produced for and broadcast on ABC. It was based on Michael Fleming's authorized biography of the Stooges, The Three Stooges, From Amalgamated Morons to American Icons. Its unflattering portrayal of Ted Healy led Healy's son to give media interviews calling the film inaccurate. Additional error of fact included the hint that Moe Howard was down on his luck later in life and worked as a gopher at the studio, where he, his brothers and Larry had formerly worked as actors. In reality, Moe was the most careful with his money, which he invested well. He and his wife Helen owned a comfortable house in Toluca Lake, in which they raised their children. The film regularly runs on the American Movie Classics channel. Feature film revival. A film about the Three Stooges, titled The Three Stooges, started production on March 14, 2011, with 20th Century Fox and was directed by the Farrelly brothers. The film had been in what one critic has dubbed development hell. The Farrellys, who wanted to make the film since 1996, said that they were not going to do a biopic or remake, but instead new Three Stooges episodes set in the present day. The film is broken up into 3 continuous episodes that revolves around the Stooges characters. Casting the title characters proved difficult for the studio. Originally slated were Sean Penn to play Larry, Benicio del Toro to play Moe and Jim Carrey to play Curly. Both Penn and del Toro left the project but returned while no official confirmation had been made about Jim Carrey. When del Toro was interviewed on MTV News for The Wolf Man, he spoke about playing Moe. He was later asked who was going to play Larry and Curly in the film and commented that he still thought that Sean Penn and Jim Carrey were going to play them, though he added, "Nothing is for sure yet." A story in The Hollywood Reporter stated that Will Sasso would play Curly in the upcoming comedy and that Hank Azaria was the front-runner to play Moe. Sasso was ultimately cast as Curly. Sean Hazeville and Grace was cast as Larry Fine, while Chris Demantopoulos was cast as Moe. Jane Lynch later joined the cast, playing a nun. The film was released on April 13, 2012, and grossed over $54 million worldwide. Video games. In 1984 Gottlieb released an arcade game featuring the Stooges trying to find 3 kidnapped brides. Later in 1987, game developers Cinemaware released a successful Three Stooges computer game, available for Apple IIGS, Amiga, Commodore 64, MS-DOS, and Nintendo Entertainment System. Based on the Stooges earning money by doing odd jobs to prevent the foreclosure of an orphanage, it incorporated audio from the original films and was popular enough to be reissued for the Game Boy Advance in 2002, as well as for PlayStation in 2004. The 2012 film used a similar plot. VCR Game. A VCR game was released by Pressman Toy Corporation in 1986, which utilized a number of classic Stooges clips. In foreign languages, in most other languages, the Three Stooges are known by their English name. In Chinese, however, the trio is known as ZA NGE Car Squared U Pod JL NG or Hui Cubed BCO ZA NRA Copyright NZC. ZA NGE Car Squared U Pod JL NG, literally 3 smelly shoemakers, which derives from a saying in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Za and Ga Ka squared U Pod Jal Ng Shao and Ua squared Ya Gaza Ga Lia Ng, or three smelly shoemakers overcome one Tsu Liang, a hero of the story, that is, three inferior people can overpower a superior person when they combine their strength. Hua cubed BCO Za NRA copyright NZC translates as trio of buffoons. In Japanese they are known as Sanbaka Tesha, meaning three idiot generals, or three baka generals. The Japanese term baka is associated with the Chinese idiom zhc letter the first whack copyright and meaning deliberate misrepresentation for ulterior purposes. In Spanish they are known as los tres chiflados, or, roughly, the three crackpots. In French and German usage, the name of the trio is partially translated as Les Trois Stooges and I Dre Stooges respectively. In Thai, the trio is known as 3A unregistered trademark AAR to the first A Candela unregistered trademark, or 3AA Micron A to the first A unregistered trademark R to the first Permil AAA number A to the first A. In Portuguese, they are known as Os Traes Patetas in Brazil, and Os Traes Esterolas in Portugal, Esterola being a direct translation of Stooge, while Pateta being more related to Goofy. In Persian the trio are dubbed as O registered trademark Oomu. In Turkish, they are dubbed as O section Ehbab. See also, The Three Stooges in Popular Culture, List of slapstick comedy topics, references. Further reading, Besser, Joe, Not Just a Stooge, Excelsior Books, Incorporated. Roundtable Publications, Bruskin, David N., Behind the Three Stooges, The White Brothers, Conversations with David N. Bruskin, Directors Guild of America, Comedy 3 Productions, Incorporated, Pop, Your Poe Effect. A Three Stooges Salute to Dad. Andrews, McNeil, Cox, Steve and Terry, Jim, One Fine Stooge, Larry Fine's Frizzy Life in Pictures, Cumberland House Publishing, Davis, Lon and Davis, Deborah, Stooges Among Us, Bear Manor Media, ISBN 1-59393-300-2, Feinberg, Morris, Larry, The Stooge in the Middle Last Gasp of San Francisco, Ferricano, Paul, Stoogism Anthology, Poor Souls Printing, Fine, Larry, Stroke of Luck, Siena Publishing Company. Flanagan, Bill, Last of the Moe Haircuts, McGraw-Hill Contemporary Books, Incorporated. Fleming, Michael, The Three Stooges, An Illustrated History, From Amalgamated Morons to American Icons, Broadway Publishing, Forrester, Jeffrey, The Stooge Field Trivia Book, Contemporary Books, Incorporated. Forrester, Jeffrey, The Stooge Chronicles, Contemporary Books, Incorporated. Forrester, Tom, with Forrester, Jeff, The Stooges Lost Episodes, Contemporary Books, Incorporated. Forrester, Jeff, with Forrester, Tom, and Wallison, Joe, The Three Stooges, The Triumphs and Tragedies of the Most Popular Comedy Team of All Time. Donaldson Books, Garner, Paul, Mousy Garner, Autobiography of the Vaudeville Stooge, McFarland and Company. Hanson, Tom and Forrester, Jeffrey, Stooge Mania, An Extravaganza of Stooge Photos, Puzzles, Trivia, Collectibles and More, Contemporary Books, Incorporated. Howard, Moe Howard and the Three Stooges, Citadel Press, Cosimba, Bill, with Kaufman, Eric A., and Sack, Steve, The Three Stooges Golf Spoof and Trivia Book, Gazelle, Incorporated. Curson, Robert, The Official Three Stooges Encyclopedia, The Ultimate Knucklehead's Guide to Stoogedom, From Amalgamated Association of Morons to Zilla, Zeller, and Zolla. McGraw-Hill, Curson, Robert, The Official Three Stooges Cookbook, Contemporary Books, Incorporated. Lenberg, Jeff, with Mora, Joan Howard, and Lenberg, Greg, The Three Stooges Scrapbook, Citadel Press, Longley, Maximilian, The Conservative in Spite of Himself, A Reluctant Right-Winger's Thoughts on Life, Law and the Three Stooges Monograph Publishers, Moulton, Leonard, The Great Movie Comedians, Crown Books, Moulton, Leonard, Movie Comedy Team's New American Library, Moulton, Leonard, Selected Short Subjects, Crown Books, Da Capo Press, McGarry, Annie, The Wacky World of the Three Stooges, Crescent Books, Mora, Joan Howard, Curly, An Illustrated Biography of the Super Stooge, Citadel Press. Mora, Joan Howard, The Three Stooges Book of Scripts Citadel Press, Mora, Joan Howard. And Mora, Norman, The Three Stooges Book of Scripts, Volume 2 Citadel Press, Okuda, Ted and Watts, Edward, The Columbia Comedy Shorts McFarland and Company. Seeley, Peter and Pieper, Gail W., Stoogeology, Essays on the Three Stooges McFarland and Company. Smith, Ronald L., The Stooge Fans IQ Test Contemporary Books, Incorporated. Solomon, John, The Complete Three Stooges, The Official Filmography and Three Stooges Companion Comedy 3 Productions, External Links, Three Stooges Online Filmography, The Three Stooges Official Website. The Stooge Three Stooges compilation is available for free download at the Internet Archive. More, Portrait of the Three Stooges by noted illustrator Drew Friedman, interview with Moe Howard on new success with the younger generation from the Ocala Star banner February 22, 1959 accessed via Google News, The Three Stooges at the Internet Movie Database, Dan Barry. Even the Three Stooges needed second fiddles. The New York Times A.